I think for me, it skewed my view of the world that I was living, man. It just like, the person that I am today is not the person I was 10 years ago, and you know, I'm always striving for self-improvement, to be a better person. But 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when I was high on drugs or stealing or just doing whatever it took, I really didn't care about myself, much less anyone else. So it made it a lot easier for me to drown in the guilt I felt about treating people bad just by getting high and just by avoiding it and things like that. So it allowed me to escape, basically. I was struggling in a lot of ways. I think that activism, being awake, kind of saved my life. About 8 years ago in 2005, 2004, I was going through a lot of depression, a couple suicide attempts, things like that, and was using drugs to self-medicate to deal with those issues and really running away from them. And I found myself addicted to crystal meth in 2004, 2005, and very quickly my life spun out of control. I had a nice job, I had a nice lady at the time, I had an apartment. I lost all that within a few weeks, became addicted to crystal meth and started selling it to make a living, and did that for a while. Ended up losing my apartment and becoming homeless for a while, losing the support of family and friends who were just worried about me and the direction I was going and things like that. And I think the worst part for me was really just, there's a moment I remember where I found myself surrounded by other people who were lost in their own way, using crack or using crystal meth or just using whatever drug they were on. And I remember the moment where I took a look around and realized that I didn't want to be involved in that anymore, that I wasn't happy. And I remember just going to bed at night and hearing people, smoke crack and hearing people do their own things. And it wasn't really that, I think people shouldn't make their own choices, but it was that I knew there was a lot of unhappiness. And I remember telling a friend of mine to not offer me any drugs anymore, because I was really struggling and I wanted to not use it anymore, but I wasn't strong enough yet. So I think that was it when I finally realized, like, okay, I've abandoned my family and friends, and now the only people I have left are other people who are using drugs, who are lost. I was able to pull myself out from that and stop using crystal on my own, and I got sober. But unfortunately, I was still lost in depression and things, because I think a lot of people out there, we come to find out that drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever your addiction is, that's not really the root cause of it. Those are just, traits of some deeper issue. And that's definitely was the case for me, where I remember about a week before I got arrested, the Thanksgiving of 2005, my mom found me in my closet, basically just sitting there crying like a big wreck. And I remember telling her, when she was freaking out, like, what's going on with you? How can I help you? And I was just telling her, like, I feel like life is going too fast. Like, I'm spinning out of control, and I just needed a pause. I wanted a pause button. And about a week later, I got that pause, not in the way I was expecting it, but I ended up getting locked up for a year first, and then throughout a 3 or 4 year period, I ended up doing 18 months and getting a felony. And but that experience itself, getting locked up, it caused a lot of reflection. I started to wonder how I got there. My family has some drug problems in our history, some jail in our history. So for me, it was a real kick in the stomach. Like, what am I doing? How did I get in these same shoes? And I wrote down a lot. That's all I did, was just write and think and observe. And it's brought me to the point now where I recognize how important self-reflection is. In our day-to-day lives as activists or as individuals, we're constantly bombarded by stuff from the media, from the government, and we don't really have time to reflect. And when I was put there, not by choice, but I was put in this cage, and I had plenty of time to stop and to think about who I was, where I was going, and to watch other people. And I discovered meditation while I was locked up, and started looking into Buddhism meditation, and got my grandma to send me as much books as she could on that topic, and started meditating. It really helped me a lot while I was in there. And as I said, I went back and forth for a while, and I decided that I wanted to take my life in a different direction, and that's what I did. It was still a struggle, and it's always going to be a struggle. But in 2009, I officially got off of parole. I got out of jail a month before Obama got elected, and that was a really weird time to get out, because I was seeing all this propaganda go around, and I was generally kind of aware of what was going on in the world, but getting locked up caused me to look into the drug war and to start looking into deeper issues, and also to remember that I was an intelligent person, that I had certain things to offer, and I was just lost at the time, and I was using drugs and distractions to not look at myself. 18 months of my life behind bars, and I wanted to come out and and pursue freedom. And that led me to, taking a bike tour across the country and to meeting other individuals. And through that experience, that inspired me to want to meet more people. And by my own experience with the drug war, that kind of led me to recognizing how the drug war is based on lies and racism, things like that. And so through my own struggle, my own fear, my own experience, I decided to create the Houston Freethinkers. And now it's evolved over the past 4 years to a real activist community where we do everything. We go out and protest, we have rallies, we pass out flyers, but we're also involved in a community garden. I live in a house where we host free documentary screenings, we have free classes on how to brew your own beer, how to can your own vegetables, anything that's about self-empowerment. So I really just want to spend as much time as I have left on this planet, as much time as I have free to empower people, because I understand what it feels like to be on the opposite end of things. And I have friends and family who, people I know who, they drink, I don't really drink. Other people, they have their own drug of choice, whatever that may be. But I try not to judge other people. And I've been in those situations where I've been around it. Earlier this year, I lost a good friend of mine who I've known since sixth grade to his heroin addiction. And having to watch somebody else go through that, and I saw myself and I was able to save myself and kind of bring it out of it. And we had conversations where he was like, you're changing your life around, doing all this stuff. And I did whatever I could to try to inspire him to realize that he could do the same thing. And it's stuff like that. That's why I don't go back, because I have good friends that I met who are good people who are just stuck in this mindset that jail is what's for them, or that drugs are the best, high that there is, instead of realizing that every day being alive, being free is the best high you can possibly have, So I have family and friends who've gone through these problems. I've got friends who are still locked up. I've got friends who've died from this. And that's what keeps me from going back, man. Just knowing that there's consequences for that. And I want to be here as long as I can. I want to spread this message as long as I can. And I can't do it if I'm high and strung out and, stuck on those things. There's sort of a phrase, a quote from Buddha that says to watch your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words become your actions become your behavior, and your behavior becomes your destiny. So it's about being consistent, If you believe in freedom and you believe in empowerment, then speak that. Speak your truth through that. Don't just say certain things, but not let your actions do that. And I think that's what I was doing in the past. So it's just about being consistent. Whatever your beliefs are, be consistent in them.
Humanity or the world one thing, what would it be? And I said, well,
What I would tell the world?
I would say...
This question by Andrew Dimitar pretty much breaks it down, and he says, how do you stay motivated in the fight? I've been consciously losing the battle as of late. I feel that my efforts